Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Sex is Medicine. I am your host, Miss Devi Erickson, and I am absolutely delighted that you are here with me again to hear more awesome information about sexuality, spirituality, pleasure, and personal growth. We are super excited to be your number one resource for holistic sex education online, on the internet. And you can catch us here every Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Pacific. You can also sign up on our website, authentictantra.com, to have the replay of every show delivered right to your inbox every Saturday morning. So if you aren't able to catch us live, you will catch us every Saturday morning. Catch the replay every Saturday morning delivered straight to your inbox. Again, you can sign up for that at authentictantra.com. This evening, I have a wonderful guest to share with all of you and me. I get to learn more about her too. And her name is Lucia Gabriela. And she's going to share with us how to attract authentic love after a toxic relationship. Lucia is a founder at Nuna Holistic Retreat Center, relationship and integrative sexuality coach, integrative somatic therapist, and teacher and Tantra facilitator. And she helps individuals and couples to master their life, relationships, and intimacy with themselves and others. That is profoundly meaningful work in the world. So how did you get started doing this work?
Thank you for having me today. So pretty much a short story would be that I grew up in a toxic environment where I show what actually happened to children when you grow up with parents that are abusive and toxic to each other. Yeah. My mom used to be abused by my father, like really extreme in the sense of emotionally, mentally, physically, even sexually, been cheated by my father. My father confessed at one point that he has like so many abortions that he had paid back home in Ecuador. So you kind of grow up with a sense of like you're not feeling safe in this world, right? So I had my own struggles in where I did not want to exist and live. So I was suicidal at one point in my youth. I kind of got past in that stage of my life. I also, for some reason, even though that at the age of 15, I started studying, Gnosis, Tantra, Kama Sutra, and all of the spiritual practices to improve my life, because I knew I did not want to live the way that my parents did. And also I knew that if I have children in the future, I did not want my children to live what I went through. Yeah. So it's interesting that when I came to the U.S., some aspect of me felt lost because of the language. I spoke no English, and I fell in love, infatuated, I call it, with my ex-husband because he was Italian. He was like literally like kind of like my type of man, and he kind of like met all these like lists that I have about. He was handsome, Italian, speak Italian, family from Italy, da 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 da. So I kind of like went into the infatuation, and I kind of lost myself too, in the sense of start practicing my white rituals, my white tantric rituals, and my white magic, and using candles and oils, and doing all these amazing stuff to kind of attract him into my life, right? So kind of like backfire on me because when you start using any kind of energy work or any kind of energy to attract something into your life, when you're actually using it when the other person is not consenting, and it's pretty much there's no consent in that dynamic. It's just you attracting it because you are the one who wants it and you're obsessed about it. It's going to backfire on you. So pretty much you're practicing kind of like what we call black magic in a sense. It happens to be that in my relationship for like almost, it was 5 to 7 years, he's the father of my daughter. We were together, and I experienced a toxic, abusive relationship as well. And I was just like, I said to myself when I was younger, I would not marry or be with somebody who was this toxic. Yeah. And it happens to be that the relationship became really toxic to the point that when my daughter was born, 10 days later, I was kind of like choke on bed because my daughter was crying, and he jumped on top of me and he was like, just shut up, this baby now, and kind of like choked me. So I kind of went through abuse and abuse and abuse in the relationship, and always with this awareness and knowledge of like energy, personal growth, and like feeling more lost about myself, feeling more confused. I was like, something is not right here anymore, because one day, an abusive day happened, or we call it, and I saw my daughter being 3 years old. And it kind of went back to my childhood in a flash like this, and was like, oh my God, my daughter is living the same hell that I lived when I was a child. And when that happened, I was like, this is not going to happen. I gave him like 2-week notice, like any good job. You give you 2-week notice. I said I was going to file for divorce. I gave him 2-week notice, and literally I left the relationship. He used to be like, the behaviors of narcissism and gaslighting and things like that, where wanted to make me to feel guilty that I was breaking up the family. And I was like, no, I'm actually saving the family, because I cannot be in a relationship to the point where I lose myself and I become toxic. Because at one point, when you are in such an abusive relationship, at one point you become the abuser. And it's so important for us to become aware of that. I'm experiencing all this abuse and all this toxicity. I have to become conscious and realize that I'm going to become the abuser one day, to my child, to a next partner, because I'm already in trauma, and I'm in survival mode. That is going to be very important for me to really understand who I am and reclaim myself, because I lost myself. So that's the short story of the long version of it.
Wow. So this work is a result of your own healing process.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's powerful. That's potent, because you've had that experience, intimately and in detail the patterns and the difficulties and the challenges of breaking free of this type of relationship, and then going through the process of healing so that we don't continue repeating that pattern in our life. So that's really beautiful. Thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you. And it's one of the things that we don't realize when we are caught up in the cycle, is that we really don't know who we are, and we really don't know how to truly love ourselves and how to truly love others. We fall into this illusion of love, but we really don't know what love is. So that's why, I'm so excited about today's conversation, because it's like how it is that after being in a toxic relationship, can I give myself permission? This is the key word. Can I give myself permission to create the conscious relationship that I desire? It's about permission. Because we can have all this knowledge, we can listen to all these amazing podcasts, we can read thousands of books, but until we don't give ourselves permission to create the life that we desire and the relationship that we desire, it's going to take us longer.
Yeah. So would you say that that's the first step in breaking free of that cycle? The first step, or what would you say the first step is?
Pretty much, for me, that would be the first step, in the sense of, how can I give myself, can I give myself permission today to really liberate myself and create the life that I desire? And when you tap into that inner wisdom, and you discover the hunger and that yes, because we had to pause for a moment and listen to ourselves and be like, yes. And that's going to create a hunger for us to do what it takes. And that's going to open up the possibilities in the universe to lead us to where we need to go next. Because if we're not asking ourselves, if we're not even commanding ourselves to give ourselves permission, we're going to be in the whole loophole. Like, we're going to be in that continuous cycle You know, we're going to be doubting ourselves. We're going to be excusing ourselves. And that's what happened when we're in toxic relationship.
Yeah, very much, very much. So this conversation that we're having is for people who have already left the toxic relationship. So they're not currently, so we're not giving advice. I just want to clarify for our audience. We're not giving advice of like, oh, I'm in a toxic relationship. This is how you leave it, or this is how you recognize it. It's, oh, I've been in a toxic relationship and I want to heal from that. And I want to make sure I don't repeat that pattern. Is that accurate?
Yes, that's accurate.
Beautiful, beautiful. So the first step is giving ourselves permission and giving ourselves the imperative or the directive to begin having a different experience. How do we go about that transformational process? What do we do? What are the doable actions for us to take to begin healing those parts within those wounds within ourselves that may be pulling us back into an unhealthy dynamic?
Yeah, so the way that I feel that it all had to do with feeling in alignment with you and who you are, where you are in your life. To start questioning ourselves, what are my toxic patterns? Like, what are my own toxic patterns? Because until I don't recognize what toxic patterns I have, I'm not going to be able to move forward. Because we're going to be hiding behind the victim aspect of it, that I was in a toxic relationship, I was in a toxic dynamic, I desired to attract a partner into my life that is amazing and incredible, that is all, incredible in so many ways. But if I don't recognize that I'm toxic, because we all are, and what are my patterns, how do I behave when I'm toxic? I call it the toxicity inventory. Give ourselves permission to create a life that we want, that we desire, and start taking the full radical responsibility to really go through the process of the toxicity inventory, where we can honestly say, I am this toxic, and these are my patterns, and these are my behaviors. Awareness is power, because the moment that I know that I'm aware of this toxicity, I'm going to be able to check myself when I'm in action of that. One of the common denominators in individuals is the passive aggressive toxicity pattern. We're nice, we're loving, we wait for the partner to be open, heart open. We always decide to be like nice, right? Like we good and loving and caring. And when something's happened, yes, we don't want to be abusive. We pretend that we're not going to be abusive, but all of a sudden behind the scene, our passive aggressive behavior is playing the role. And they start with playing games. We start playing games with ourselves, and we start playing games with people. So it is really important to take that, to be responsible, to have an inventory of how toxic we are. Because we cannot attract somebody amazing in our life if we are toxic ourselves.
Yeah, or if we do attract someone in our life, that pattern is going to repeat itself, right?
Yeah, and unfortunately, we become the perpetrator to them.
Yeah. Those unexamined wounds are then projected onto others.
Yes, that's exactly what happens. We project our wound and our insecurities and our doubt and everything upon others, and then we hold them accountable of something that is not even theirs. And that's where like the whole cycle starts again, because these amazing men and women that they have nothing to do with our inner wound, now they're paying the consequences. And at one point, they start becoming toxic and intoxicated and suffocated, and they just want to leave.
Yeah. So how do we go about healing these wounds? Are there rituals we can do? Are there methods that you advise people to do aside from, so we take the toxicity inventory and we know, okay, so I have some unhealthy behavior patterns. I want to resolve these. I want to get to the root and transform them. What are some steps that you recommend, some tools?
So it is important to address the mind, right? So that's where we do the inventory, because that's where awareness go. Also, it's important to address the energy in the body. So it's going to be important to do somatic work. If you have the ability to work with somebody that work in somatic, emotional somatic therapies, it's going to be amazing. But what we can do meanwhile, if not working with a therapist or a somatic therapist, it's going to be important to release the toxic emotions and whatever is stored in our body. That's why it's very powerful to start doing somatic work. Back in 1941, Wilhelm Reich, one point he used to call it working with the organ energy, and the creator of the emotional somatic releases. He talks about that talk therapy is great, but we have to get it out of our system. We have to get it out of our body. Even like Peter Levine, if you study Peter Levine, he talks about the animals in the jungle, or animals or cats and dogs, when they experience some kind of trauma, they have to shake it off out of the body. So doing somatic practices like we call meditation dances, like when you go into meditative state when you are dancing, and you just give yourself permission to just flow with the energy and start dancing and let your body move and shake and just shake and shake. And shamanic practices, and any culture of shamanic practices that you look at it, when they prepare themselves to do alchemical rituals, like we call it, they do the dances. And if you look for shamanic music, right, like those drums go like boom, 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 right? And the music kind of like move you. And when you go into that meditation with the dance, your body's going to start moving and your body's going to start shaking, because the drums are going to be leading you to that. That's one of my practices that I actually even lead my clients to. Just start there first, gentle, because the body is going to be shaking and moving and releasing. And then it's going to come very natural when you are there in that state, that you're going to become aware of what emotion, feeling, or memory you are letting go. It is important to go into a ritual when we go into somatic dance to create intention for everything we do. Doesn't matter if we're just working with a body, we're working with energy, we're working with somatic body work or anything like that. It is important to set an intention of like what it is that we're giving ourselves permission to let go. Again, the word permission is really important in my work, because many times there's a part of ourselves that doesn't give itself permission to, and create the inner conflict within, and that's where we're like battling within. So when I ask myself what it is I'm giving myself permission to release, then goes with flows. Because there's one part of my body that may not want to release that yet for some reason. So we have to become aware of that within ourselves. So somatic dance is really important. It's really powerful. Help us to release, remove, give ourselves permission to release emotions, and you will be amazed at what also comes out, like what mindset will come out when you go with intention. Another aspect of somatic work is actually the breath work. That's why in Tantra, right, like we talk about some of the principles, is about working with the body, the movement, working with breath, and working with sound. When it comes to sound, I invite everyone to be courageous, to really allow themselves to make sound. We're living in a society that everybody's with a muffle in their mouth. Everybody has some experience where the voice has been shut down. We women or men don't experience pleasure in bed or in relationship or anything, because we don't give ourselves permission to make a sound. If we're making a sound, we're eating a strawberry, people look at me like, oh, weird. So that was so nice when you go to a Tantra event, right? Or Tantra festivals where you're like, yummy. Oh, yes, more of this strawberry. Yes. so that's another aspect of going in the process of healing and transforming what is not serving us anymore.
Yeah.
Giving ourselves permission to make that sound, to breathe, make that sound and shake it out of the body.
Beautiful.
That as a morning ritual for 10 minutes would be amazing. It prepares for the day. It also allows us, our root chakra to open up, our sacral and our solar plexus to open up because the energy is moving. And if we don't open those chakras, a heart chakra is not going to have a good time opening up. It's important for us to be able to open up, from the bottom up, so we can really open our heart.
Yeah, having a healthy open heart is the key to having a healthy humanity.
Yes. One of the things I discover in relationships is that we all come with a closed heart after experiencing some toxicity in our life. It could be from a parent or past relationship, it doesn't matter, or even society. And we come shut down, we put an armor around our heart. And we can't connect with other person heart to heart if we carry an armor around. So it's really important to recognize, what emotions, belief systems, we really keeping ourselves, in self-sabotage that is closing the heart. Some people, it has been the survival mechanism.
Yeah, it's a coping mechanism. It's safety and protection, right?
Yes. So we have to, again, come to inventory, come to become aware of what is actually happening here. And the more we do somatic work, breath work, meditation dance, it's going to help us to start moving energy. The more we move energy, our body's going to be open. An open body is an open heart. A closed body, it has like a tend to be a closed heart. So definitely somatic body work also is incredible powerful, because it's not about the pressure or the intensity of the trigger point. Is that level of awareness that is put onto a specific part of the body that may have a memory of trauma. And that level of awareness and sacredness and safety and compassion and love, it will open up what is there, and will allow the person to actually be more conscious about, okay, what to do next. To do next.
Beautiful. Yeah. So that release and letting go of whatever that obstruction is critical for the inner wisdom of how to proceed in a way that's healthy and enriching and full. That's absolutely essential for that.
Yes. Yeah. I love that what you just said. And it made me, when you just said it, it kind of like brought this vision of, imagine that we have this inner wisdom, and then we have all these spider web all around it, like all tied up, all compressed, all so tight. The inner wisdom is not going to be available.
Yeah.
And the more we loosen up those web, the spider web, right? The more we allow them to stretch themselves, the more that we kind of like clean the web cup, a wisdom will be available for us. And we are very powerful, incredible, wise beings. And it's important to recognize what is wrapping around our wisdom that is not serving us.
Yes, beautiful, beautifully stated. So why do you believe it is so absolutely critical for us to be doing this work before we start dating or before we enter into a relationship with somebody new? Why do we have to do our homework first?
Because we got to clear the canvas of love.
Yes.
You can't go, it's like you can't go to another romantic, loving relationship with a dirty canvas. What are you going to create from a dirty canvas? You know, if you really look at how nature works, before a new forest is born, there got to be destruction of that forest. A fire has to happen. Earthquake had to happen, a tsunami had to happen, some kind of destruction had to happen, something that wiped it out, you know, transcend it and alchemize it, right? So it is important for it to clear our life, be in tune with, okay, who I am, what are my values, what are my boundaries, who I am as an individual, as a person. If somebody offered me $1 billion, what would I do? Would I stay in integrity with myself or not? You know, who I am and what is my purpose here? And if that's when we're going to create conscious relationship. Conscious relationship comes from a place of being clear and in integrity with who you are. Doesn't matter who you are. I believe that we live in a society where we are in relationship by default.
Yes, exactly.
Well, yeah, we are in default relationship, and we come from a place of confusion, trauma, misunderstanding, triggers, lack of boundaries, and all that stuff. So if you don't have boundaries in your relationship, of course we're going to have toxic relationship again.
Yeah.
I feel like one of the, I would say the blessings in this guide of being in a toxic relationship, and when we do a toxic inventory about ourselves, is to make us realize what boundaries have not been in place.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. And boundaries are a way of meeting needs for self-care, right? That's the beauty of boundaries. It's how we take care of ourselves.
Yeah, I define boundaries as the integrity of the energetic field in a whole being. And when the integrity has been compromised, it's because the boundary has not been in place. And when we're talking about the energetic field of a whole being, we're talking about our mind, mindset, thought, belief systems, and all that. We're talking about emotions, our feelings. We're talking about our body. We're talking about our energy. We're talking about our spirituality. So when all those energies of who we are as vibrational being, it's one of those energies has been compromised. It's because something was not clear. There's like a boundary is an awareness, a conscious awareness of the integrity of our field.
Yeah.
And if we were not aware of that energy, you know, and how it has been compromised, you know, how are we going to know what boundary to put on?
Yeah. Yeah. And so this brings us to another point. So for so many, I mean, I'll say, so like the foundation of why we as adults would be engaged in a toxic relationship is usually because there's some childhood trauma around there, right? Some unresolved childhood trauma. And so one of the functions of trauma is that we don't understand our worth and our value. We don't understand that we deserve for love to not hurt, right? For love to be enriching and good for us as opposed to painful or a battle. So how do we go about restoring our sense of self-value and our self-worth? For someone who's listening to this and they're just kind of like, well, that's all great, but I don't even know where to begin. Like, how do I connect with my own value? What do you suggest?
I love this question because it's one of my favorite. We must find our self-value to be able to implement our boundaries.
Yes, exactly.
When self-value is not in place, it doesn't matter if you have boundaries and you have them on paper, it's not going to happen. Why? Because you're always going to feel inferior, less important, not significant, or like you have no value, that you're not good enough, and all the things that we tell ourselves. So when I help clients to find their self-value, pretty much this is a practical. If you decide to do this, it's gonna be fun because I'm an inventory chick, pretty much, to put it this way.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't have it in writing in front of us, we don't believe it. This is the problem that we have. And I work with so many amazing, smart, incredible people, especially business owners. And it's so important. Like I would say, like the metaphor of, okay, when you're running a business, do you know the value of your business? Do you know the value, the actual monetary value of your business?
Are you asking
You
me?
have, well, everyone.
Everyone, okay.
You know, everyone. Like,
My
do you
accountant.
actually know? Yeah, your accountant would, but also your financial advisor knows. You know, you go to your financial advisor, they tell you that maybe your business, they do a whole auditory, like I call it, and they check it out. And even if you don't believe it, your business may be over $2 million, right? Because they don't look at what is in the bank account. They don't look at whether the finance statement or anything like that. They look at the value of the company. They look at the value. What is in the company? What are the resources? What are the assets of the company? And also they look at you and look at your potential and your education and your contribution and all of that. So to do an analysis of the value of a company, you know, people who do this, they, you know, I remember my financial advisor, she asked me all these questions that had nothing to do with my business. And it was all about me and my education and the length of my clients and all these things. And then we added the extra things about computers, assets, and like all, you know, light bulbs and things like that, and adding the value to that. So I bring the same kind of concept to helping individuals to really recognize the self-value, because we don't put a number to everything that we do and who we are and how we are and our values on anything. And the thing that we consider the most important. So for example, it's creating a list of like what it is that you are so good at, right? Like for example, this could be a very quickly one. What are you so good at? Are you so good at writing? What it comes very natural to you? What are you good at, like sweeping the floor? Are you good at doing the dishes? Right? So just write down like what it is that you're good at. And our minds are created to, we have trained our mind to value numbers and the numerical system. So in our mind, for example, when we're creating a program, right? Like when we're creating a product, nobody really knows the value of this pencil or this pen or this marker. Nobody knows the value of it. You know, like how we're going to put the cost to this. You know, there's an inventory cost to this, like what the cost of making it. But is that the cost that we actually pay for it? No. Why? Because we also have a retail value, and we have, again, the retail value, we have the commission value, we have all the things that add up. At the end of the day, we're not paying 10 cents for this, we're paying $1. So we have trained ourselves to recognize numerical value. So what I like to invite to clients and the audience is to write down what are you good at and put a number to it, put a price to it. I know some people come to me, it's like, I don't like the exercise because I'm priceless, and it's like, I don't, just listen to it, that it's like important for us to recognize that our mind, for us to be in integrity, our mind had to be there, present, and that we do actually compare things with numbers. But this is not about that, you're worth $1,000, $10,000. There's nothing to do with it. Is the exercise is designed to make you aware of the number. And the number is going to allow us to know where you're valuing yourself. Are you valuing yourself high, or are you valuing yourself low? And I tell you that 99.9% of the people that I work with, they value themselves so low when we do this exercise. So, okay, so what I am good at. Okay, so let's say I'm good at doing the dishes, right? Like I love to do the dishes. I'm so good at doing the dishes. That's an irony right there because I don't like to do the dishes. But anyway, that, yeah.
Good to know. We won't ask you to do them.
Right? So, okay, what would be the value? Like how much, how much, just put a number of like how much like doing dishes would mean to me. Like what would be the value, the monetary value? Doing the dishes, I love to do the dishes. I would say, let's like the value of stuff is like $1,000, $2,000. And then I would ask myself the question, are we talking that for a week? Or are we talking that a month? Or are we talking a lifetime?
Yeah.
Right? It's important to really recognize the time, the length of, the time of it. And it's like, well, is this my lifetime doing the dishes, and I love to do the dishes, something that comes very natural to me. I would say the value of it is $1 million, put it this way. All right. Now I'm pricing myself high here in the sense of like $1 million. And in other examples, we have some people will be like, well, $20,000 or $30,000. And what it does is that when we start pricing, putting a number next to what we're really good at. For example, you're a great listener right there, right? I can see your quality. You're very observant, you're listening, you're really taking it in and all that stuff. Put yourself, that is an amazing quality, right? Like, what are you good at? You're good at that. That's where you have your radio show, right? But at the same time, you love it. You're so good at it. It comes very natural to you. What would be your number?
I would say $1,000 an episode.
Okay. So, but let's not talk about episode. Let's talk about your life. Because the same way that you act in here right now, I guarantee you that you're the same with other people around you. With a friend, you can be in a nightclub, you're going to be offering the same present, the same listening skills and everything like that. So your quality, your amazing quality of being a great listener, what would be the value of that?
I'm not going to give you the price list because that's a cop-out. I would say $10,000 an hour.
Okay, $10,000 an hour. Okay. All right, so $10,000 an hour. Great. So my next step to this is like, once you have all the amazing quality that you're great at, and all the that it comes very natural to you, and we put a number to it, now I'm going to ask you to add 6 zeros next to it.
So now I got to do math. I did not agree to this. Doing math on the spot in this interview.
But that's what we do on paper. That's why these exercise must be in paper. Because if you put it right now, $10,000 for an hour, and then I'm telling you, put 6 zeros next to it, we're talking about over, there's 1,000, there's 100,000, there's 1,000,000. We're talking about 10 billion. 10 billion.
An hour, that's priceless.
That's priceless. So what had happened, and then you multiply it by 24, is the number get bigger. And this is not about becoming obnoxious of like, oh my God, I'm going to be thinking so much about myself. This is an exercise that actually helps us to realize how we value ourselves. Because many people in your audience may have the amazing skills like you do, or like I do. Like, we're great listeners, to listen to a partner, to listen to this, to listen to the stranger. We hold present and all that stuff, and we undervalue that quality of ourselves.
Yeah.
We don't think that we're good enough. And this is the problem, that when it comes to attracting an amazing, incredible relationship, we go with a value, with belief that we are this small, and forget about it. If the other person is successful and wealthy and all of that stuff, we're like, shit, man, I am insignificant next to this monster, right? Or this amazing person, oh my God, he's a celebrity. Oh my God, he's well recognized. Fucking, oh my God, he's Tony Robbins. Oh my gosh. And my self-value is like so low because like I see myself small.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what I love to do, this exercise when it comes to self-value, because it kind of like energizes you to understand that you are incredibly priceless.
Yeah.
And so I definitely recommend to get that page and really do, in practice, to find over close to 100 amazing qualities about yourself that you don't even think of. Oh, I'm a good driver. Oh, great. Okay, so I'm a good driver. Okay, what would be the value of being a good driver? At the point that when we're done with the exercise, you recognize that being a good driver is priceless. So you consider yourself like, I'm a responsible person. Because if I have a child and I'm a good driver and I'm conscious, I'm not putting anybody at risk, and actually aware, I'm not texting what I'm driving. I'm conscious and aware of what is in my environment. If I can do that while I'm driving, I can do this amazing, great job of being present when also I am making love, or when I am cooking, or when I am this. So another great quality would be, I'm a great cook. I love to cook Spanish food. Awesome. Let's put a number to that. Why is it important to have a clear numerical understanding of our qualities and our values of who we are? It's because when we go into a new relationship, we clear canvas for love, we get rid of all those clean and clear and destroying and create all the trauma, toxicity, and all the stuff. We recognize our toxicity, toxic pattern, we become accountable and responsible. Now I'm tapping into my value. When I go into a next relationship, I'm coming full.
Mm-hmm.
I'm coming whole because I know who I am. I know my triggers. I know my shadow. I know what can, set me up to be abusive or whatever, my own toxicity. I'm coming full. I'm not coming with the expectation that somebody's going to fulfill me or somebody's going to complete me.
Yeah, someone's going to fix me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yes.
beautiful. Well, that was a super fun and enlightening practice that you gave us online here. And it's definitely causing me to think on my own account. So how can people connect with you to work with you more fully so that they can dive more deeply into some of the amazing methods that you have to offer? Did I break up there?
So you can go to, yes. So you can go to luciagabriela.com, which is Lucia, Lucia, Gabriela, Gabriela.com.
Yay, beautiful. And then social media, I'm guessing you're on social media because everybody is this day. We want to connect socially on media. So where can people find you on social media?
So in Instagram, you can find me at Lucia Gabriela Coach. And the same thing, Lucia Gabriela Coach, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
Beautiful. And do you primarily do like individual coaching with people? Is that what you primarily offer, like coaching programs?
Yes, I do one-on-one coaching. And also when people come to my center, I do in-person sessions. And also I work with couples. A lot of fun work is done with couples to really strengthen their relationship in a way that is incredible and a great partnership. So I love that.
Beautiful. And where is your center located?
I am in Sarasota, Florida. So it's in the west coast of Florida, like an hour south Tampa. Fun.
Beautiful.
If you Google Sarasota, you gotta come because after all of this, we have Sarasota Beach, Siesta Key, is considered #1 beach in the whole U.S., not counting Hawaii for sure, because we have a crystal clear sand. So we have been between the first 5 top number, but we have been so many years, we have been #1 beach, and it's crystal clear beach. It's like when you walk in there, it feels like powder.
Oh, wow. Yeah, there's beaches like that in Hawaii that are just like, it's like white sugar.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Powdered sugar. Yeah. Yeah. And so Any last words to offer to our guests? So anyone who may be listening to this and realizing, yes, I just left a toxic relationship, and yes, I want to heal. Any words of inspiration or guidance for them?
To remember, give yourself permission to remember how powerful you are, and never take yourself for granted, and never underestimate how powerful you are.
Wow. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this evening. I highly encourage you to connect with the beautiful Lucia and to get some support in healing and transforming. And I thank you again for joining us this evening on Sex is Medicine. And make sure you stay connected between shows at Authentic Tantra. Sign up for your weekly replays in your inbox at authentictantra.com, and make sure that you follow us on social media, all the social media accounts, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, blah, 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 at Authentic Tantra. Have a beautiful, beautiful week, and I look forward to seeing you next week.